you to really connect with your true self, that amazing woman that you have within, that confident version of you, your inner essence, who's just like waiting to come out in the world. And perhaps you just don't feel like your exterior, your style, really, aligns with that version of you. So I guide women to first of all connect and get really clear on that and their style vision and who they're stepping into, and then craft a wardrobe and a style that draws that forth. So it's almost like a physical vision board.
I love that. And I remember it's crazy because I think we've done a couple other things, but like a year ago is when we did that short series called Rebrand Your Life and Business. I don't know if you remember that, but that was when we did like a mini training. And I just remember like I just love your perspective on it because it's so true. You know, the clothes that we wear really is a part of, the way we present ourselves to the world. And it really does make a difference. And I know especially when you're going through those times of transition, whether you're maybe you just got a new promotion at work and you have to up level, to this new leadership position, which is, one of the things that I coach women through, or, entrepreneurs in this group. I mean, your teams are growing, your businesses are growing. And as Amanda knows, every stage of your business requires a new evolvement, and a new evolved version of yourself. Like we're never staying the same. And so I just think it's natural that your style should evolve as well.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I know I'll kind of kick off today's call with just, just through conversations with girlfriends and clients and just like being a woman, I kind of know what a lot of us are thinking right now,
Yeah.
where it's, the spring temperatures are starting to warm up and, depending on where you are across the country or, in other countries, but some of the restrictions are at least allowing people to go into restaurants and maybe gather in smaller groups.
Mhm.
And I don't know about you, Amanda, like I don't know if you have clients saying this, but like I feel like over the course of this last year, I don't even know what my style is. Like I
Yeah.
literally have no clue like what my style identity is even more because many of us, women in business, we really haven't had to like present ourselves, to the world much this last year outside of our rooms or out of our houses. And then
Yeah.
also like things have changed, like trends have changed. So
Yeah.
I'd love for you to just speak to like, do you see clients that are kind of in that boat? And what would you what would you say is the first step to like figuring out your style again?
Yeah, first of all, you're not alone. You're definitely not alone. That's exactly what I'm hearing from the majority of women, especially because, like you said, we've been, this past year, we've been like cocooned in our homes. And so styles have changed, right? It's not necessarily getting up, putting on the heels, going into an office. It's a very different, cozy style. And then I'm also hearing from a lot of women who did get into that like cozier loungewear style that now they're over it and they want to feel more professional again and they're on Zoom and it doesn't necessarily feel right to just have on like the really great blouse and like sweatpants, right? But then it's like that in between of like, well, if I'm not in sweatpants and loungewear and I'm not in like my pencil skirt and heels, what the heck am I in?
Exactly.
Definitely feeling that like identity crisis, and especially as we look at this next year where there's still a lot of businesses that aren't going to open, where it'll still be virtual, right?
Mhm.
And like enough is enough with the sweatpants. So
Yes, amen to that.
yeah. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. Please don't get me wrong. There are certain days where I totally stay in my loungy wear too. But I think what it comes down to is like, what's your intention with your style? And I always say, we have a vision for everything in life. Like, well, most women have a vision. I feel like your community has a vision for what they
Well,
want.
it's a pillar of the community. So
Okay,
it's the
there you
V of the VIPs. So for those of you that don't know,
go.
that's one of the things we cover here. So I'm glad you said that.
Okay, so they all have a vision, and
Yes.
the majority of women have a vision for career
Mhm.
and a vision for relationship. But how many women have ever thought of a vision for their style?
Right.
And it's important because, especially if you're feeling like, I don't know what to wear, and then you go into a mall or you go online, it's extremely overwhelming when you don't have that clear vision and that focus. So, so that's where I always start with my ladies, with my clients is feel into that vision. Like, first of all, what are your top 3 goals over this next quarter? Okay, got it. How does that version of you show up? Like, how do you want to feel? Well, I always start with a little meditation. Like, how do you feel when those have been accomplished? So, like, you're at the end of the quarter, you've accomplished those goals. How do you feel? How does that version of you showing up? What is she wearing? And it just allows you to start to go there and get really creative and see that, like see that future cast of the way
Mhm.
you're showing up, and then really get clear on like, okay, so what does my style look like? What does that entail? How do I feel in my clothes? Who am I embodying? Who am I being? So it's less about just like, well, what are the trends and do they fit me? It's more like, well, how do I want to feel in my clothes?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So what does that look like? And then it's even doing a little bit of research. Like, are there certain women, celebrities, style icons that you typically see, and every time you do, you're like, gosh, I love what she's wearing. There's something about that. She seems really confident. So
Mhm.
it's having awareness, like being conscious of what it is you really like about that, and then starting to kind of emulate that and create your own style around it.
Yeah.
So it's getting really clear in your vision where you're going, how you get to show up, and then pulling from those around you that you really like their style and merging it together to create your own.
Hmm. I love that. Yeah, I know. And one thing that's helped me, I know recently, because again, and you're right, it hasn't even been so much about trends, but every so often I get on a little Pinterest kick. And I'm not like a religious Pinterest user, I'm not on it a whole lot, but every so often I just feel this urge for inspiration. And so, and for myself, like I'm going to have a branding shoot coming up here pretty soon. And so to your point, I'm kind of asking myself those exact questions. And maybe some of you in this community can relate to that, whether you have a branding shoot coming up, or again, maybe just got a new promotion and you're like, okay, like I'm in this new role at work. So like, does this mean my style changes? And sometimes like that definitely can be something to support kind of this like next evolution, you know? And so for myself, like, and I've been looking on Pinterest and kind of what you're describing. It's funny you mentioned like the pencil skirt and all that, because for corporate women in here, um, I mean, I have so many freaking pencil skirts that I haven't worn. And I actually like love that look. But to
Yeah.
be honest, like working from home, it's just not comfortable. Like it's just not like convenient to be in the pencil skirt. So to like tie that together, what I've really been thinking about lately is like, okay, how can I kind of blend the two? So it's like laid back, but still sophistication. And so like blouses like this, for example, and I actually like typically do still wear jeans. I know most people don't, and I don't know, but for me, like
I do too.
I feel like I have to be like fully dressed.
Me too.
I haven't been able to master that. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that it's just like logical, but whatever. Like but I've always been like that my whole life, honestly. Like I've always liked to be put together, and honestly, like most of my friends that know me would say that they know that about me. So I think it's just a thing. But it's like to your point, I've kind of like decided to just blend. Okay, like I can't necessarily the pencil skirts, maybe not so much, even though I do love that look, but maybe I just do the more sophisticated, classic elegance on top and then, jeans on the bottom. I mean, maybe that's kind of my new signature look. So,
Yeah, and okay, a couple things that came to me that I want to touch on. First of all, the pencil skirt. So, what if you wore that with like a really great cozy sweater or a denim shirt knotted on one of your dates,
mm,
or out to dinner with your
whoa, now
right? So
we're
thinking
talking.
thinking
I write
differently,
that down.
where because I get what you're saying, where when you're on Zoom you want the top to be a little bit more professional, so then when you're out in the world, out to dinner with the girls, out on dates, just flip it and do your pencil skirt with like
Ooh,
a cute pair of tennies on the weekend, or a cute I don't really love booties with pencil skirts, like a cute heel, but then go more cash on top with a slouchy sweater front tucked, right? Because then you can play with your proportions a little bit because you've got the slim fit pencil skirt. So you can be a little more roomy with like, oh, just a really yummy, cozy turtleneck sweater, front tucked.
And I think like for spring, for those of us, I know everybody's in a little bit of different climates, but here
Yeah,
in Chicago, like that could totally work. I mean, still, it was snowing yesterday, but I think
yeah,
next week it should be a little bit more spring-like. But that's such a great idea. I've actually like seen women out there doing that before where they've done that pencil skirt, but I've never tried it myself. I don't know if it was like in my head, I didn't think I could pull it off because I was so used to like having the whole thing. You know what I mean? But like I love what you're
don't
saying,
pull it
and
off.
hopefully the women that are listening, like you can start put together maybe some options like that in your closet, like doing like the flip flop. I'm so used to doing the casual on the bottom. But what if I flipped it and reversed it? I'm liking this.
Yeah,
This is fun. I actually just wrote that down because like I
and
don't
it'd
know.
be
I
so
like
cute for you.
I definitely have like plenty of things
Yeah,
to make that happen. I love
it'd be
that.
so cute for you with like a little white tenny, like a tie up tenny, and then like a blush sweater. I'm just picturing so many things. And then I love what you said too about Pinterest, because yes, that's part of what I always do and advise, like with my clients, is we always do create that Pinterest board. So after we get clear on their style vision and what that looks like, and there's a bunch of like deep dive questions that I go into. Then from there, we do craft the Pinterest mood board as a way for that visual representation, because some women do need to see it that way, right? Before we even
Mhm.
dive in. And that's fun too, because then you get to collaborate and do that together and really craft what that style looks like before turning it into a final mood board. So Pinterest is awesome. There's tons to play with on there.
Mhm.
Um, Something else that you touched on, which I love, and I think we can even take it one step further, is yes, you get the promotion, you know, all these amazing things happen, and you start to think about, okay, how does that version of me dress? What if you start dressing as that version of you before you even get the promotion?
Mhm.
So,
Absolutely.
what if you're so clear and committed to your vision, to what's happening, that you have such faith that it is, that you start dressing the part now?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And honestly, like that kind of goes because the next question I was gonna ask you too is like, obviously with this brand, the VIP woman, and like you're aware of really like the identity of the VIP woman. It's like an identity, you know what I mean? That I really when women come into this community, I really want them to feel that they're stepping into, even if they don't feel VIP yet. Like my desire is to really get them to believe that they are, because every woman is born to lead. And so I love what you're saying because um, that's part of that, like stepping into that new identity, you know what I mean? And really just giving yourself permission to, say, hey, like this is the next step for me, and I'm going to start making that happen right now. Because reality is like when we're, on this journey and going through these different stages of life, like it sometimes it doesn't happen all at once too. Like if I've learned anything over the last year, like so many of us can look at this last year and I have changed so much, like personally. And I'm
Yeah.
sure the women in this community can relate to that. And so, it doesn't have to be this drastic thing even overnight, you know what I mean? But like small things. And with this idea of like VIP, one of the things I was going to ask you is like, well, what are some ways that women with their style can, to your point, like start stepping into this, VIP version of themselves if maybe they aren't a budget, maybe they can't do like a complete, wardrobe overhaul, but like what are some ideas you have or maybe help some clients with that you think would be some good places to start?
Yeah, I love that, because the reality is you don't have to have a ton of money to completely, I don't want to say completely, but to like step into that VIP, right? There's always a way
Mhm.
to create it. And I think what it comes down to is, as you first get really clear on your style vision and how you desire to show up, and you start to pull different images and see what really resonates for you, see what's really standing out to you. Is it a blazer? Like, are most of your pictures is the woman wearing a great blazer? Or is it, a pencil skirt? Or is it a great pair of heels? Like, what's that one thing that you see that you're like, gosh, yeah, that would make me feel amazing? And you also want to make sure that it's a piece that can be worn multiple different ways. So maybe don't make your
Mhm.
first investment piece some like wild printed blazer that you can't wear, much different ways. Maybe it's a great like black blazer with like a faux leather trim or something on it, right? Or something that you put on and it just really feels like power.
Mhm.
Um, and there's always ways to find things. I mean, you can find great pieces at Target. You really can find great pieces all over. Another great option, resell, Poshmark, Tradesy, thrift stores. Like, there are so many amazing pieces on all of those
Yeah.
sites that have never been worn. They still have tags, or maybe they've been worn gently, right? And a lot of
Mhm.
the women, like for instance with me, the reason why I have so much stuff listed on those sites is because it doesn't feel like me anymore. It's not that there's anything wrong with them or that they're ugly or they're out of style. It's I put it on and it's not me anymore. And I know it would benefit another woman. So there's tons of amazing stuff to find on all of those resell.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Poshmark too. It's so funny. I just saw a friend of mine post that she had just sold, put a bunch of stuff on Poshmark and she just made like 200 bucks. And I was like kicking myself because I just moved apartments
Mm.
like 2 weeks ago. And so I, was doing some cleaning out of my closet and like totally just donated everything, which is fine. But I'm like, there's
Yeah.
still a lot though I can still part with that I know. I have a lot of clothes, so I'm gonna do that for. So that's just a good reminder for everybody too. Like, don't forget, like for those things you do feel, you just have outgrown. Like I know, because I know some women, and I've been here like years ago too, but like sometimes you like don't want to get rid of the stuff, like the clothing sometimes,
Emotional.
um,
Yeah.
and it's you just have to ask yourself that question, like, is this actually, you know is this something that you, whatever you want to call her. I mean, sometimes you can even use a different name. Like for
Like,
me, it was sometimes like, is this something, this was like a couple years ago, but I had like an alter ego and
yes, me
yeah.
too. That
You know,
would
like,
not.
is this something that Anastasia would wear?
Ooh,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? And so like sometimes it's just playful, but it like, but it gets you out of like Amanda, you know what I mean? Like in the moment, like, okay, like if I'm kind of evolving and, you know, I'm wanting to step into this new identity and I've had this darn thing for like 5 years, it's been sitting in my closet. Do I really need to keep hanging on to it? You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. I
um,
I love that you're bringing that up because that is something that I do personally and I do with my clients as well, is we get to have a name for like the shadow self, the woman that she's emerging from, like has served her so well, but now it's time to move forward into the higher self. And so we create those names because it's a great opportunity as you're going through your closet and looking at pieces to ask yourself, okay, is this something that my shadow self name is wearing, or is it something that my higher self name is wearing? And it is a great way to decide if you're gonna purge pieces. And I know especially for a lot of women that do have some of the emotional attachment and that's harder, just keep reminding yourself who's going to benefit from these pieces. Like think of all the other women that are going to benefit from your pieces. And that's a
that's so
really
true.
beautiful, generous way to think about it versus what you're losing.
I love that. That's powerful for sure. And then I know you mentioned the thrift store thing, and I that's always a great reminder. I had learned, so I just moved to Chicago, you know, a year ago, and I lived in the West Loop of Chicago. And turns out that the Goodwill right by my apartment is like one of the top in the entire city, and that like Kanye West apparently shops at this Goodwill. So ladies, you never know, and it's true. I've been there a couple times, and yeah, like they just, it's just like the stuff that comes in there is like amazing. So
Yeah.
absolutely, like don't knock it, ladies, if you haven't been to a good, you know, to a Goodwill lately. Like you never know what amazing inspiration, you know, you might find there. So I love that you brought that up too.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And it's just like also just remember that it doesn't all have to happen overnight. Right? So we don't have
Exactly.
to completely revamp our wardrobe overnight. It might be one key piece, might be one key piece. And but you're clear in your vision of what gets to be next after that, right? And you kind of set little
Mhm.
goals for yourself about when. Yeah.
Yeah,
So don't feel like
I
it's
love
this
that.
massive thing that you have to take on.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And then I know the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, and I know some ladies may be wondering as we're, you know, evaluating our style heading into the spring season, but what the heck is the deal with the jean trends and like what should we be wearing? Like what should I not be wearing so I don't get shamed? Like
Oh, okay. Such a good
what are we
question.
supposed to wear as 30-year-old woman? I'm
Yeah.
just so confused.
Such a good question. And I'm going to answer it two different ways. So my first answer is always I don't care about the trends. Like my first answer is always you get to wear what makes you feel like you, what makes you feel alive, what makes you feel like the best version of you, right? And that's what I always say to women. And then I know there's some women watching that are like, no, but really I need help. Like I don't even know where to start. So then I will, yes, of course, talk into some of the trends. But I just that's just something to always remember that a trend is simply that it's a trend. It's a suggestion. It doesn't mean that it's right, wrong, good, bad. It means you can take it, you can try it, see if it resonates with you, see if it makes you happy, see if it makes you feel like the best version of you. So, with that being said, you don't even ever have to play with trends if you don't want to. But I would say that with what we're seeing now, I mean, jeans, honestly, it's kind of all over the place because yes, the higher rise is still here, which I'm obsessed with.
Thank God.
I love a higher rise
Will that
jean.
like never go away?
I
Seriously.
don't, I
I don't
mean,
know what
I
I'm
don't
gonna
think
do
it ever
without high rise jeans in
will.
my life.
I don't think it ever will at this point. But that's the cool thing is that it's like anything goes right now. So if it's a higher rise, I mean, we're not seeing like the super low, like Frankie Beat low rise from back in like the 90s, but it's, mid rise, a higher rise, a lower rise, it all goes. And the cool thing is like every leg style is really working too. You've got more of like the slightly baggier mom style jean, which I'm personally loving right now that are like all torn up and I love those, but skinny jeans are also still really hot right now too. And I know there was that whatever going around, like you can tell if it's is it a millennial if they have a side part in skinny jeans or whatever that
Yeah,
is.
which is totally me.
I
Rocking my
mean,
side part and definitely have skinny
whatever,
jeans on.
whatever. Whatever, right? It still goes. So it really runs the gamut of which jean you feel the best in. Colors, like the washes, it's lighter, darker. It's all out there right now. So
Interesting.
that's
What
why I
about
think
like the
people
wide? Isn't there like the wide, or is it the flare or the wide leg? Which one is the one that like everybody's going crazy on?
like the trouser, like the mom jean, like
Oh, is that what it is?
well, it's kind of like a boyfriend jean where the leg is just kind of more like this.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, so like a flare would be more straight and then boom, flare at the
Yeah.
bottom. A trouser is more like this all the way down.
Okay.
They're both out there right now.
I feel like I could totally like do the 70s vibe, not gonna lie. If that came back, I would
Yeah.
totally I like some give me some high rise bell bottoms. That would be kind of fun.
Yeah, I actually have a pair up in my closet from when they
Yeah.
were hot
I was
before,
thinking I was like, if that trend came back, I wouldn't be mad about it because that's kind of cool.
But the
Um,
thing is, like,
the
you
low
can
rise
just start it. You can just start it. Why not? Why wait for a
yeah,
trend, you know? Just rock it.
oh, totally. I think it's just I'm still so in love with my skinny jeans. So yeah, I'm not gonna part with those quite yet, but I
No.
definitely know, like many women, I know that I'm like in need of some new jeans this spring. So that's why I was gonna ask. That's was like I need to ask Amanda this. I'm just curious. I'm gonna be going looking for jeans soon. So it's nice to just know what's out there.
Yeah.
And but that's cool. I mean that's kind of good to know that like really
I would say if you
fun.
typically do a skinny jean, veer from it. Try something a little bit different than a skinny jean.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
I think that that's what I'm going to challenge myself to do. Get
Yeah.
something other than a skinny jean on my jean trip. Um,
There's like a lot of like 90s vibe jeans right now. Again, just a higher waist, slightly, I don't want to call it a super flare, but it's more of like a straight leg.
okay,
Hmm.
I love it. Well, that's fun. Anything else that you see like coming out this spring that you've just been super excited about or that you've been styling clients with that you just feel like is something that we should keep our eyes on?
I feel like a fun sleeve and shoulder is still really hot. That's like here to stay for a little bit, a little bit
Like
of
the
like
exposed shoulder?
no, 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 like a little bit of like a puffier shoulder
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, nice.
or like sleeve detailing. I'm still seeing that, which is really
Like
nice.
these, like what about these sleeves going on?
Yeah, any type of sleeve detail is still, especially because we're still in the Zoom era.
Yeah,
So I think we're still seeing a lot of that fun detail on shirts so that women can feel like they're showing up a little bit more playful on Zoom versus just a traditional button down or that. So
exactly.
definitely seeing that. A lot of like playing with colors too. So color blocking. So whether it's playing with like a pink and a red, right? Wearing them
Okay.
together or wearing like a lavender and a red together, right? Just playing with different color blocking. I
Mm-hmm.
definitely think
Love
that's really
that.
fun as well. Um, I mean, when spring comes around, you're always going to see florals. That's just like
True.
you're always going to see florals and like feminine, delicate. Tie dye is kind of dwindling down, but it's kind of still here. But it's,
I love the tie-dye comfy stuff, I have to say. Like I do love the tie-dye like cozy outfits
yeah,
and
yeah, me
like
too.
the workout. I just bought like speaking of Target, I just bought this cute tie-dye like muscle tank that I'm obsessed with. I actually think I'm gonna go get every color because
Love it.
it's so darn cute and so comfy. So I actually like I love the tie-dye trend. I do love it. I haven't worn it like, more fancy, but I definitely love the casual
Loungy.
tie-dye stuff going around.
Yeah, I totally rocked that. I did my own tie dye back when we first went into lockdown. I was
Oh,
like, I'm gonna try
awesome.
it.
Oh my God, that would seriously be so much fun. Like I
Yeah,
remember loving that when I was a kid.
yeah,
Like I literally have memories of doing that, like with my cousins and my dad, like in the backyard. That would be fun.
it was fun. But that's the thing too, right? Like your style gets to be fun.
Yeah.
Just play. I think that's the biggest thing I'm seeing for spring is just play.
Hmm.
Joy. What makes you happy? Is it prints? Is it colors? Is it dresses? Is it just what makes you feel good and what makes you happy is more what I'm seeing as like the overarching trend because we're coming out of this time that has been, well, and we're still in it, right? It's been a really challenging year for so many
Right.
people. So if our style can just bring a little bit of happiness and joy, let's do it.
Yeah, seriously. No, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, you know what? Like, thank God. Like, thank God it is feeling like that because if it weren't, if style wasn't meant to be fun, like, I mean, what a sad thing, right? But it's like with everything going on, like I think what I'm hearing too is like don't take it so seriously. dress how you want to dress, but I think like this was a good way to for some ladies to start thinking about some ways to like freshen up their wardrobe. But I think like, the common weave throughout what we talked about too is like, don't be afraid to, really look into and have that style vision, like you call it, which I love, and who you're stepping into and how does she show up, like,
Yeah.
and pay and like visualize that too, like, and this goes into the NLP stuff, but I'm sure you've heard about all that, but it's like, really like paying attention to how do you actually want the clothes to feel on your skin, like,
Mhm.
and that can sometimes guide you into finding the right pieces, for that next. If you don't have this like perfect image, sometimes it's like, well, how would the fabric feel, and like how would it lay on your skin? And sometimes those can be some really good guiding principles to help you like find some really key pieces to kind of,
Mhm.
you know, evolve your style.
100%. It's less about following the rules of what should my body type wear, what color should I wear, da da da. It's like I just have never believed in any of that stuff. So it's really about how do you feel exactly? How do you feel in the clothing? Who are you becoming wearing that?
Yeah, I love it. And I'm inspired to do a second spring cleaning. I don't know about anybody else,
Oh
but
yeah,
like
my
I said,
whole
I did one when I made the move, and I'm like, you know what? Like there's still I still have so many clothes, and especially after experiencing over this last year, like I'm like hyper aware to how much I don't wear. So it's
yeah,
like, all right, like come on, like let's part ways with some more stuff. Like this really doesn't need to keep following me for the next, 8 years. So
well, and the thing to keep in mind too with that is that clothing, just like everything else, is energy. So if we're holding on to it, then it's not allowing the space for what's meant to be to come in.
mhm.
So I know it might seem kind of trivial, like, but I'm just holding on to another faux fur, whatever vest. Okay, but if you're not wearing it, why? Like
Yes.
you're blocking what's meant to come in. Maybe that's meant to be like a beautiful blazer that's supposed to take that spot. And then you wear
Yeah.
that blazer and then the man of your dreams notices it. And then because of that, you get married. Like, who knows, right? It's like,
Exactly. No, it's true, and I actually think it was kind of a blessing that my closet is like I moved into a much bigger place, but my closet somehow was smaller. How does that happen? I don't know. But you know what? It's probably a blessing in disguise, and it's just so funny. Even this top, like as like a random example, do you know I've never worn this top, and I think I got it like probably 2 years ago. And I've never worn
it's
it
worth
because it was like
telling.
I just was never looking at it, and so now that I have more, I've gotten rid of a lot of stuff and there's like less that I was able to hang up in my closet. And this one caught my eye and now here I am wearing it 2 years later. So it is
Wear the
funny. Talking
color.
about the whole energy thing, it's so true. Cause like I got rid of stuff that I just like wasn't gonna wear anymore. And then this beautiful top that I'm gonna wear on a date tonight. So it all works out.
Perfect. Clear the clutter to elevate your life. I always say that. You got to clear it away to see what you've got.
I love that.
And yeah, hold on to what really makes you feel amazing.
Yay. Well, this was such a great conversation. Oh my gosh, like
Fun.
so needed. I just got so many tips and I know like I'm sure through the questions, like so many other women were able to take away some things. But thank you so much for
You're
being so generous
welcome.
with your time and for
Yeah.
coming in and giving our community some tips. And then as always, I'd love for you to share, how people can find you.
Yeah. So the easiest way I would say, I mean, through Facebook, right? They'll see me tagged that way. You guys can always DM me. I'm good responding there. Or through Instagram, it's Amanda Wheel Style. So Amanda Weil Style. Those are really the easiest ways because in my Instagram bio, you can get a hold of me. You can see all
Yeah.
the good stuff in there too.
Yeah.
So I think those are really the easiest ways.
And PS, side note, I forgot to mention this earlier. I just worked out with you this morning, by the way, Bar
Oh,
Blend.
are you at Barblend again?
For those of you ladies out there, hopefully I'm not putting Amanda on the spot, but if she looks familiar, she's in the Bar Blend from Beachbody in the video with Elise Jones, the founder of Bar Blend. So I was going to bring it up earlier, but I forgot. But yeah, it totally worked out with you this morning, cardio day. So thanks for
Oh,
working
nice.
through that.
Nice. And if any of you watching are like, what is she talking about? Just message me. I will tell you
Yeah.
more. It's an
It's
amazing
amazing. Like I haven't
experience.
done the program in like 6 months.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing it again because it's been a while. I still like it's one of my all-time favorite programs. I absolutely love it. Like I can like immediately feel, what's happening and the mobility it gives you, just all the above. So,
Yeah.
but all right.
Good.
Well, thank you. Thank you
Thank
so much, Amanda. It was so
you.
great catching up with you, and to all the ladies here that I know are watching or will be watching later. I'm so excited that you were able to catch this conversation. And please reach out to Amanda if you are needing some tips or guidance in your new evolved style. So thank you again so much, Amanda, and
Thank
we
you.
will talk soon.
Yay. Thanks, everybody.
All right, see you later, girl. Bye.